Hi guys. Last time I talked about the difference between fluency and proficiency, and today we're going to talk about how to bridge that gap. So I'm going to give you 5 awesome tips to bridge the gap between the B zone and the C zone. Without further ado, let's get started. Tip number 1, step out of your comfort zone. Once you find yourself in the fluency zone, normally you tend to stay within that zone because you can do everything in your target language. But if you want to keep expanding and refining your language skills, you have to get out there and get out of your comfort zone, which basically means do things that you cannot do. Now, if we take the 4 areas of language learning, let me give you a few examples. If you have been speaking about everyday topics, now get out there, get a native speaker, and talk about things that are a little bit more complex and that implies also a certain kind of language. Write essays about things that, once again, are complex and that you can discuss in a certain way by using certain connectors. Read books that you haven't read yet, or about novels, for example, or about more complex things, about cosmology, you name it. The important thing is that you like, obviously, what you read. Listen to podcasts or listen or watch documentaries about things that you haven't watched yet and you haven't touched upon yet. Tip number 2, follow the fun. Normally, when you are in a certain zone, if you've been doing certain things and you had fun doing these things, well, that's awesome. But when you want to move from one zone to the other, you should keep having fun, but at the same time do something different than you did before. In my example, I used the bidirectional translation to get a foundation of the language, but once I have gotten a foundation of the language, well, I move on to something else because that bidirectional translation becomes a little bit boring. Tip number 3, do things progressively. Language learning, I always say that language learning is not a linear, but it's a progressive process. So you have to make sure that you do things that are progressively more difficult. For example, let's say, for example, that you want to, let's consider reading. At the beginning, you can read something which is really simple, like language learning material, and then you can move on to bilingual books, and then to monolingual books, and then onto newspapers and things that are a little bit more complicated. You can do the same thing for speaking. At the beginning, you can talk about everyday topics, which are really simple. Then you can have a speech about a specific topic. Then you can do storytelling. Then you can describe images, abstract concepts, and so on. But in this way, you're getting out of your comfort zone in a progressive way. Tip number 4, understand deliberate versus natural practice. This is a very important point. Normally, we tend to associate language learning with books, with dry study, but that is actually not so. Language learning is about life. Language learning is about getting out there, watching a movie with friends, go out, have fun. I think the deliberate practice that is sit down and study and practice is great, but it's just one part of language learning. You have to integrate it with a more natural practice. Let me give you an example. Playing video games, reading a book that you like, going out with friends and talk about stuff. These are all things that are within the realm of the natural practice, and they are as important as the deliberate practice. What you have to do is to balance the two. Step number 5, which is more like a rule than a step actually, is be patient. Language learning is a long road. And in this case, bridging the gap between the B zone and the C zone, that is one of the longest and hardest stretches out there. So actually imagine it like, once again, climbing the mountain. Instead of looking at the top and cursing the distance in between, you should focus on every single step and enjoy the view every time, because every single step is one step towards the summit where you will finally point the flag, and that will happen one day if you keep doing all these things. Phew, we've done it. And thanks for watching, and I'm going to talk to you very, very soon. Bye. Ciao.